Entogenetics has solved a puzzle that's been at the center of fiber science for more than 20 years. The ability to produce true spider silk in a scalable form. Spider silk is an organic fiber that is light, incredibly elastic, and tougher than Kevlar. Our scientists have discovered how to transfer a spider's production gene into a common silkworm, thereby enabling the large-scale, inexpensive production of spider silk. Entogenetics is dedicated to solving challenging problems by supplying superior fabrics to products like ballistics and body and bulletproof vests, which, if using spider silk, could provide protection at half the weight and twice the mobility, thereby saving lives and reducing fatigue. Our plan is to grow these silkworms and to develop processed spider silk. This spider silk will then be developed into textiles, including body armor, for which there's currently a $400 million market. Our team includes Dr. David Brigham, who has more than 10 years of experience in entomology research. We also have an experienced team of students from Duke University and a group of advisors with experience in both polymers chemistry and in taking startup ventures from commercialization to exit. We anticipate revenues of $75 million in the next 5 years based on a 15% market penetration into the ballistics fiber market alone, even though there is other applications for our fiber. We're looking for $900,000. We all looking for $900,000 to expand technical development and to produce pilot quantities of this for additional field testing. There are several competitors in this space, but we feel like Entogenetics has both the lower cost and a superior fabric to all these additional fibers.
Open it up for questions.
Does it hurt the worms?
It does, in fact, hurt the worms. Current silk production takes the silkworm right before it turns into a moth. It takes the cocoon, thereby killing the silkworm, and it unravels the cocoon to produce silk. Ours would be the same process. So we have looked into it, and there doesn't seem to be any ethical or PETA issues associated with the production of silk. So we anticipate the same.
Being that your ultimate exit would most likely be a sale to a government or for military purposes, body armor, asking us for $900,000, what is our return on investment and the time that you expect that to happen?
Sure. We are anticipating several different things. One is we could become a profitable business outside of an acquisition. Ballistics is the first target that we're looking at, but we've talked with a lot of folks about parachutes, ropes, and a number of different things for which the spider silk could be an excellent replacement. But we're looking at a 5-year exit or something like that, acquisition by potentially a manufacturer of actual ballistic vests or a competing product that would be looking for an acquisition of a similar fiber type, somebody that's producing a synthetic today. So we're looking at a return on investment. We anticipate doing a potential Series A and a Series B funding round. So we're looking on a return on investment of 5 to 7 years on your money. So are you looking for
an equity participation?
Oh, and an equity participation. I'm sorry.
No, I'm
asking. No, absolutely. Yeah, at $900,000, we're currently valuing the company somewhere around $3 million. So you're looking at somewhere between a 25% equity stake in the company.
We're very excited to be here today to talk to you about a revolutionary technology that Entogenetics has come up with. The US military is facing serious issues in 2 conflicts, in Iraq and Afghanistan. The pressing needs of the military right now are for improved body armor that will deliver stronger vests that are lighter and more flexible, allowing soldiers more mobility in the battlefield. Law enforcement agencies also have pressing needs, especially given the recent incidents unfolded in New York. We believe the solution to this pressing need is a fiber called spider silk. Spider silk is finer than human hair, yet tougher than a bulletproof vest. Spider silk has an unrivaled combination of mechanical properties that have earned it the reputation as the holy grail of biomaterials. Add to this the eco-friendly nature of its production, compared to the blistering temperatures, unearthly pressures, and nefarious chemicals in producing synthetic fibers, it's easy to see why spider silk is so highly sought after. Enter Entogenetics. Entogenetics is a company that hopes to revolutionize body armor by producing this fiber, spider silk. We will do this by producing genetically engineered silkworms by introducing gene sequences from the spider into silkworms and producing the silk. We do this using a novel and patented technique, which our researcher, Dr. David Brigham, has come up with. And our company is led in conjunction with him as Duke graduate students, my colleagues on the stage as well. So in our value chain, we propose to be the supplier of these genetically engineered silkworms, providing these to the silk manufacturers who will be our business partners. They will produce this silk and then sell it to vest manufacturers who will blend it in with their current fibers. And then this will produce superior vests that they will sell to end users such as military personnel and the Department of Defense as well as law enforcement agencies. So spider silk is light, flexible, and tough. And the ultimate value proposition of spider silk is it will save lives on the battlefield. How will it do so? There's a variety of characteristics for spider silk. It is half as light as competing synthetic materials, 10 times as elastic and tougher than Kevlar, affording better protection for soldiers. It is also cheaper to produce and more environmentally friendly to make, since you can just take an existing silk manufacturing facility, supplicate the worms currently being used by the worms we're providing, and the seamless transition occurs to cost production. So why would we succeed in making this fiber when so many others have tried and failed? One main reason, because we are approaching this from a natural recombinant method of production, while most major players in the market have tried to make synthetics and have failed. We see great potential for our company's product in the ballistics market. As Jonathan mentioned earlier, the revenues in 2008 were $400 million. And about 3/4 of this comes from direct sales of fibers. Our ultimate end users are military law enforcement agencies, and they have a high priority need for a material that is of this caliber. We also see a variety of other applications, even with respect to the military and the Department of Defense, in parachutes, ropes, nets, and other areas. Finally, our competitor, one of our main direct competitors is Craig Biocraft, and we have studied their processes extensively, and we believe that ours is far superior. They can currently produce silk that is 40% stronger than regular silk, while our target is to produce silk 250% stronger. Currently, the ballistics fiber market is dominated by 3 fibers: Kevlar, Twaron, and Spectra, each of which represents an incremental innovation in development of new fibers. While what we are going for in Entogenetics is a paradigm shift in a dramatically new fiber, which will eat away market share from these players. I will now hand over to my colleague Mark, who will talk to you about our needs moving forward.
Thanks, excuse me, do you have any data just about the production quantities? You said you're going to use existing silk farms to grow spider silk now. What is the relative output to DuPont or one of the other companies that's producing this for the intended purpose?
That's a good question. Right now, we're making very small quantities in pilot. We're trying to Mark is going to actually talk about, if you don't mind holding that question,
okay.
We'll talk about where we're going, and then he'll address your question, I think.
All right. Thanks, Gotham. As Gotham mentioned, we have a revolutionary fiber that has been 5 years in development. And this process has been proven because the inventor, Dr. David Brigham, has inserted the genes into silkworms, actually grown the silk, and had it tested by the North Carolina State School of Textiles. As you can see here are Mark I and Mark II genes, as they are tested, test as spider silk. Now, we showed this to the Army's Research Center, and they agreed that it was spider silk, but they wanted a few additional specifications. And that's what we're developing towards now, as you can see the target ballistic parameters. And what will it take to get us there? We estimate Series A financing of about $900,000. And the main parts of that would be for further development, about $150,000, equipment for small-scale production, patent expenses for here and abroad, and then production scale-up, and that's costs for partnering with somebody in the silk industry and actually switching their silkworms over to our genetically modified silkworms. And once we get to that point, some projected financials. Using a 15% market share by year 5, we estimate revenues of $75 million. And that's based on a selling price of $30 and a cost of about $10 per yard. Now, there are several potential upsides to that, one being selling price. $30 is about the starting price for Kevlar, and it goes up twice that or even more for Spectra and other higher quality Kevlars.
Excuse me, Mark, quick question.
Yes.
The financial stuff is very important, but we're DOD. We're already spending $200 million a year on this product. The value proposition of save lives on the battlefield, strong enough for me. My big question is, you know, as far as allocation of budget, we throw around big checks all the time for stuff like this. I want to know how feasible this really is, the production of this on a small scale. You know, I'm loving what you're doing as far as using markets that have depressed business climates because of textile industry being shut down. We could take this into the production there, but how easy is it going to be? The additional money you're looking for with additional production or additional research, what's actually required? What is that specific hurdle?
Without getting into the science, which our scientists would have to explain.
It's going to be over my head anyway, on a very simple.
There are known steps that he is taking to adjust the gene to get to that point, and he knows how to do that. As far as actually scaling up to full-scale production can be done very quickly. Say if you started with 500 worms, they can multiply by 250 times every month. So you can be into billions of worms within 6 months.
So once you've made this genetic change, it continues through reproduction?
Yes. So back to some of the upsides. I know you might not care about cost, but to be a feasible business, there's some great upsides.
We do.
Market share, we were looking at 15% in these calculations. And of course you saw 3 fibers dominate the industry. That's because they provide the best safety. If we come in with a fiber that improves upon that 2-fold or more, we feel that 15% is a very low number. We could go double that or even more than that. Also, international markets, every country has a need for ballistic vests. Every country has a military, has law enforcement. So these numbers are not even looking at the international market. And also other industries to go into. There are many potential opportunities for a fiber like this. One being clothing that is stretchier, it lasts longer. Another being the medical industry. We've heard from experts that there's a great need for clean silk and could also be used in your body for replacements like ligaments and tendons. So there are many other opportunities.
As you look at expansion into other markets, I understand that you can invest far more in the production of this material for an application like body armor. When you look at other applications, parachutes, obviously we've got lives at risk, but when it comes to clothing, does it cost that much? Is it the cost that relatively competitive to the other types of materials?
We can produce it the same as regular silk is produced now. So it'll use the same industry. There might be a slight premium for switching over a factory, but otherwise the costs are the same. So yes, we can produce it competitively with similar fibers in use today. And because of these many opportunities, many industries that we foresee going into, we don't think that Entogenetics has to have an acquisition to be profitable. It can be a viable business on its own. However, we do believe that it will be a very attractive acquisition target in the future. Historically, in this area of technical textiles, they have sold for about 2 to 3 times revenue, which would put us at about 150 to 220 million in year 5. And we also see a potential upside for a premium for spider silk. And the quote that Gotham read earlier, spider silk is considered the holy grail of fibers. Many companies have tried, they have all failed, and we have come up with a method for doing that. So we feel that there could be a potentially big upside premium for spider silk. And the team that's going to help us get there. Of course, Dr. David Brigham is the founder of the company. He's the one that has developed and is continuing to develop the process. Mr. Nicholas Rose is the treasurer for the company. Gotham, Jonathan, and myself are all graduate students at Duke University. And on top of that, we've brought together a strong group of advisors. Matthew Magaro, he's a serial entrepreneur, started several startups, been the CEO of several of them. His most recent one being Quill Medical out of RTP, which recently sold in a $200 million structured acquisition. John Fiel, who is the executive director at the Center of Entrepreneurship at Duke, who's also been involved in many startups and been the CEO of several startups. And Sam Hudson is a expert in the textile industry. He's a professor at the NC State School of Textile and brings expertise in the silk industry and how to develop and use silk.
So before our time is up, what we're interested in is, we certainly would like this yesterday if it's feasible and can happen. What's a realistic time frame when we could look at this being available for our troops?
course, there is some further development, as we said, to get to that point for ballistics grade. And we believe that within the next 6 to 12 months, we can get there. Along with developing the new gene, our scientist has also developed a new method for creating the gene, which speeds up the old process by about 2 to 3 times. So he's going to be putting in new genes every couple of weeks now, and with each one, we feel there will be a strong move forward in how strong this fiber is. So we think in the next 1.5 to 2 years, we can be at the levels needed to outfit the troops.
Good luck.